He said he want him a Rican, a foreign thing, no English speaking. No hablo inglés at all when we freaking. It's always intriguing, cause I gotta do all the teaching.
When I was younger, I was a hot mess. I have a lot of story times from those days. With all of these story times, it's like the same lesson. 1, you shouldn't lie to people. 2, you shouldn't be shady. I was the shadiest person. And just like, don't be stupid. This is about the time that I had just gotten a car for the first time and I hit someone. So since the story revolves around me driving, I just need to quickly walk you through my driving history. You know how most people when they turn, I don't even know what it is, like 15 or 16, like ready to drive, that's all they want to do, they want that independence. I was not that girl. I wanted nothing to do with driving. And if you're like, why? Like, why wouldn't you want that? I would have this reoccurring dream. I was in a car driving. I either couldn't reach the pedal, like the brake, so the car was just going. I couldn't stop it. Or I'd be in a car, like driving down the road, and then all of a sudden my steering wheel would just disappear. So, you know, that was a little traumatizing. My dreams would always end with me head on. They would always end with me dying. I would wake up right before I died, but it would always end in a car crash. So because of that, as I got older and was like nearing the age of driving, I wanted nothing to do with it at all. But in my high school, it was mandatory that you took a driving ed class. I took that class, failed it. I failed it a bunch of times, the written part, and then eventually I passed by some miracle. So I went ahead and scheduled my driving test, but only because it was mandatory. Like, I wasn't trying to drive at all. So I took the driving test. When I get nervous in a car, I start like, I drive like this. I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. So just imagine little 15 or 16-year-old me. I'm taking my driver's test. There's a guy sitting in the passenger seat. I'm just swerving all over the place. And the whole time during this driving test, the guy that was like grading me was making this sound like. He was hating his life. He was probably scared for his life, honestly. And you know, the end is like you have to parallel park. I still cannot parallel park to this day. I'm not like the best driver. I don't know, whatever. But when I went to go parallel park, I hit all of the cones. I wasn't even parked straight. Like, car was like if this is the road, my car was like, I was super crooked. I'd already given up on the fact that I was gonna pass this test, and I didn't even want to pass it, so it didn't really matter to me. I knew for sure that I failed. That was kind of my plan. But come to find out, this guy just decided, you know, I think he passed me, which is terrifying because the way that I shouldn't have passed. I don't know how that happened. I think what it was probably scared this guy to death, and he just didn't want to ever be in a car with me. So he was just like, let me just give this girl a license and call it a day so I don't have to see her ever again. So you get it. Like, I never really learned how to drive. Now let's fast forward to when I was either 18 or 19. I was pretty independent at that point in my life, aside from the fact that I didn't know how to drive. This was around the time that I started dating this guy who I was also working for. I know that sounds really sketchy. So because I was working for this guy, it was super inconvenient for him that I didn't have a car. So I also at this point in my life didn't have money to go get a car. I didn't have parents that were gonna help me get a car. Like, I was just on my own. And it wasn't top priority for me to get a car. So it wasn't something I was saving for. I honestly thought in my mind I was gonna move to New York City and I wouldn't even need one, so it wasn't gonna be a big deal. But that's not how things played out. My boyfriend's solution to the problem was, let me just get you a car. So what he was gonna do was just like put the money outright, get the car, and then I was gonna pay off the car. So eventually it would be my car. But when we first got it, it was under his name. You know, he was the driver. Like, I just had it. you know? It wasn't anything fancy. It was like a, what is it called? A Cavalier Chevrolet. It was like that teal green color. Nothing fancy at all. We got it for like under $3,000. It was used, but you know, it worked for me. I mean, until I totaled it. So now let's go to the day that I get the car. We get up that morning, go get the car. He goes on his way, I go on my way. And before he lets me go, he tells me, I don't have a lot of rules for this car. I'm trying to do a good thing for you here, trying to help you out. I have like one thing to ask you.
Please do not drive this car at night.
Which, at the time, I was like, you know, like, oh, you don't trust me? You don't trust me on the road at night? Like, you just wanted me to use this car for work, and that was it. You see, I was just the worst. Like, I hate my young self. I really do. There's lessons to be learned here, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. He tells me this, don't drive the car at night. So how do I take this? In my mind, that's a challenge. I'm like, oh, okay. This guy doesn't want me driving at night on the road because he doesn't think I can handle it. So like, whatever I heard, like, I just did the opposite, like a 5-year-old. So I take the car, drive it home, everything's good in the hood. Then later that day, I got a text from one of my other friends. It was like 5 or 6 at night. And I told this particular friend that I just got a car. So they texted me and it's like, hey, we're going to the boardwalk, let's meet up. And I was thinking in my head, you know, I'm not supposed to be driving at night. It wasn't really night then, you know, but I knew it was gonna most likely be on the road when the sun is setting or was down already. And I knew that that was against the rules, but you know, I was like, he's not gonna know, like, I'll just go, because the beach was super close. So I was like, I got this, okay? So I make the very mature, responsible decision to take the car out. So I take the car out, I drive to the beach, I have a great time, and then I drive home. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, Roxy, you did it. You got away with this. No one's gonna know that you took this car out. Went without a hitch, you're good. You're good. At this point in the night when I was driving home, it was pretty much dark. And I was like focused. I was just focused on the road ahead of me. And okay. And then I'm like really close to my house. I'm literally like 3 minutes away. I just gotta turn down this one road and then I'm there. Then, you can't make this stuff up, I swear. I'm really this stupid. As I'm like about to make this turn onto my street, I'm at a light, a red light. I hear a speaker sound from behind me saying,
Pull over. Pull your car over.
And I'm like, me? Are you talking to me? Me? No. So I look behind me and there's a cop car behind me with its lights on. So I'm like, what have I done? Cop is like out of his window, like doing this, trying to get me to pull over. At this point, I'm like kind of having a panic attack. I'm kind of having a panic attack because I wasn't the driver of this car. And I wasn't the main insurance holder. In no situation was this going to be good, because if I was doing something wrong and I did get a ticket, then he would have called the main insurance holder, which was my boyfriend who gave me the car, who told me not to drive the car at night, and here I was just breaking all the rules. So I really didn't want a ticket. So I pull over and, you know, I roll my window down and I'm on my best behavior right now. I've seen in movies girls like flirting with the cop and then he's kind of easier on her. So I roll down my window and I'm just like, is there a problem here? Am I doing something wrong? He's already pissed at me for some reason. So he goes, first of all, do not see me following behind you with my lights on for the past 5 minutes. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about, officer? Basically what had happened was he started following me. Like, let's say there's 10 blocks to the beach from my house. according to him, he was following me from like the 7th block with his lights on behind me. So I was like, oh, like I didn't see you. Cause honestly, I didn't see him, because this is like why I'm so stupid. But you know, when you're driving, like you're driving and you have your rear view mirror, normal people with common sense look in it every so often to check behind you. I was not doing that. I know. I was just focused on the road ahead of me. I never saw a cop behind me with his lights on. And that's exactly what I said to him. He was like, well, didn't you look in your rear view mirror? And I was like, no. So he's looking at me like, is this girl drunk? Which I wasn't, by the way. I was not drunk at all. I had 0% alcohol in me. I was just stupid. So he's kind of like, you know, scoping me out, looking in my car, like trying to figure out if I'm really that stupid where I didn't look behind me. I go to tell him that I just got this car today. I don't have a lot of experience on the road. I was just trying to get home. At some point, he started to believe me because it was the truth, you know, I honestly didn't see him. He's like, okay, so you weren't looking out your rear view mirror. And then he goes to say, the reason why I pulled you over was because you're driving without your lights on and it's dark and you can't do that. He asked me like why I'm driving without my lights on. And I was like, I genuinely didn't know to put my lights on. So I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I don't even have an answer for you. His concern for me being on the road was just like going up and up and up. For a good reason. He's like, okay, well, just do me a favor, put them on right now, and I'll let you go home. So I'm in my car, and I'm looking at all the things on the dashboard, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll turn my lights on. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to turn my lights on. And then I just turned to him and I'm like, so I don't know how to turn my lights on. When I said that to him, he became super concerned. Then he starts questioning me as to how I even got a license. Okay, but in my mind, this isn't my fault. That guy, back when I was younger, okay, gave me my license even though I didn't know what I was doing. So I blame him for all of this. I'm just kidding. I know it's my fault. I'm an idiot. So the cop is super concerned about me at this point. To the point where he takes my license again and rescans it. Like he thinks this is fake and like I must be like 12 years old and I just don't know what I'm doing. So I'm kind of like making jokes with him, trying to be like real flirty now. So I'm in some okay? I'm just praying that he's not gonna try to take my license away. I don't know, give me a ticket. I know you can't give someone a ticket for being dumb, but I feel like in my case, he probably should have. And I know that that's what he was thinking in his mind, like this girl should not be on the road at all. So he helps me turn on my lights in my car and he's like,
we're not gonna have any more problems, are we?
You could just tell he was uncomfortable letting me go, but like he didn't really have anything to arrest me for. So he was like, I'm gonna follow you home, make sure you get home okay. That was that. So now fast forward to 3 days after this whole situation. It's around, it's somewhere around again like 6, maybe 7 at night. And I get a text from one of my friends. They're stuck at like somewhere, but they needed a ride and they asked me if I could just pick them up because they were close by. The thing about me is if someone asks me for help, it's never like, can I do it? It's like, how can I do it? If I physically can't, I try to make that happen. So it was getting late at night again, and because of my last encounter with the cop and everything, I was a little hesitant to take the car out. But I was like, you know, this person needs me. I'm gonna help them. Where they were, you had to go all the way to the beach and then get on like Ocean Ave and then take that like 3 towns down. So this was definitely a further drive than the drive that I had previously taken just to the boardwalk. And it was later at night at this point. So, you know, major red flags as to why I shouldn't be driving. But you know, someone asked me for help. What am I like? How am I gonna say no? So I'm like, okay, I should be okay now because I know to look in my rear view mirror and I know to turn my lights on. What could possibly go wrong? I pick up my friends. They need me to pick them up and then drop them off somewhere else. So I did that. Everything was going pretty well. I think I'm good. Like, I think that I'm doing great, to be honest with you. I have my GPS on, like on my phone to get me back home, but this town that I was living in, it was kind of confusing. Going straight to the beach, like a bunch of roads would obviously cross it, and it was only a 2-lane. So like 2 lanes would be just a one-way, and then you go down another block, and then that street would be 2 lanes going the other way. There was a lot of one-ways. Super dangerous, by the way. Why do they do that to people? So I'm driving home and I'm in the right lane. I finally pull into my town. There's like a train station on the right of me. I'm driving, you know, living my best life. And my GPS tells me, turn left now. So I'm in the right lane. I turn left on a road that has 2 lanes going one way. You know where this is going. So I'm in the right lane and I turn onto oncoming traffic. So obviously, the car that's next to me in the left lane, when I turn, we collide. So I just go spinning. And not only am I having an anxiety attack because it's very similar to a lot of the dreams I used to have when I was younger, I'm freaking out. I'm sweating, I'm shaking, I'm screaming. I just circle so much that I'm like in a whole other side of the road now. So once I stop spinning, I, you know, try to gather myself. There's people, you know, running out from their cars. At this point, I'm just like, oh my God, this is really bad. And I'm so dumb still that I didn't understand why that just happened. I'm like thinking that someone just hit me. I go from like anxiety and having a meltdown to, wait a minute, who the f just hit me, okay? I'm like ready to punch someone in the face. I'm mad. And there's already a cop that's pulling up to us. Actually, there had been a cop just kind of chilling, sitting there, and they saw the whole thing. As soon as this all goes down, he gets out of his car. Okay, and it's dark out at this time. It's like almost 10:30 at night. So I couldn't like see the cop from my car until I rolled my window down and he was like, you know, and guess who it is? Just guess. Just take a wild guess. It was the cop from the other day that stopped me for driving without my lights on. That is such my luck. But like, what are the odds that it was the same cop that stopped me the other day? Like, what are the odds of that? And it's not like he was just called to the scene. Like, he was sitting right where I was turning. Like, so I roll down my window and I see him and I'm just like, and I kid you not, as soon as I rolled my window down and we make eye contact, he goes,
You again.
not kidding. I'm not kidding. He looked like, you know when your dad gets really mad at you and just like wants to kill you? That's how he looked at me. He was like,
What were you doing?
and I was like, what do you mean? I was driving. I made a turn. And he's like,
Why did you make a turn from the right lane?
and I was like, because my GPS told me to. He's like,
Hey, did you know that you can't make a left turn in a right lane?
and I was like, oh. That's when it all kind of hit me as to what I did wrong. So he's just like done. Like, he looks like he wants to take my neck and just like, and then he says,
I knew I should have stopped you when I had the chance.
so I'm feeling very shitty right now. He tells me to get out of the car, and the person who I hit was already out of their car. I look over at their car and it honestly doesn't even look like it got in an accident. It was a much nicer car. And he's looking at me, you know, he's pissed, obviously. And now I'm just really starting to feel like a piece of shit that I was. Obviously, I was getting a ticket Like, I wasn't getting out of this one. The cop came up to me again and was like, I have to write you a reckless driving ticket. This was not the words that I wanted to hear, because if you know anything about reckless driving tickets, they cost points on your license. I think it was 3 points on my license that I got that day. This whole story is crazy to me because getting a car for the first time, the first day I get pulled over, and then the third day I cause a huge accident, you know, get a reckless driving ticket and dent the whole side of it. I have so many stories, especially revolving around cars. I have so many car revolving stories. So if you liked this, let me know, because I could tell you about the time I totaled this car, which was just a little bit after all of this. I know. Don't be me. All right, I love you guys. Bye.
Check when you pass me the ball, better keep that if you don't wanna see you fall. I don't need that weak shit every time you call. Better figure out your life before God check you off. And I ain't here to check it, only here to wreck it. God better bless it if you wanna whip a Tesla. I don't give a fuck if you telling me to test it. You better watch your step before the Reaper come and get you.